What's going on, everybody? So I had a couple of questions, and not on the review, but actually from worksheet two from some of you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and go to worksheet two. Here we go. Areas of polygons. And I'm going to go just over a few problems here, maybe just two or three, and then hopefully you guys can figure out the rest on your own. Remember that keys are online, so you can take a look at them, but a key doesn't help you if you don't know what you're doing, right? So let's go ahead and do a couple of these together. Let's look at something that's hard. Some of these are actually not super easy. So let's go ahead and do, I guess we'll do number one first together because that one does require a little bit of 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 uh of work. Um, okay, so sorry, I'm talking enough. So here, one thing that we have to notice is that this one triangle is made up of two separate triangles, right? So we've got this one here. Sorry, I don't know what happened here. We got this boy right here. It doesn't have to be straight. I'll copy it down here. Come on. 15. This is a 90 degree. This is 17. And this is X. So now why am I doing this? Why am I gonna copy these two triangles? Well, remember that this one triangle is made up of two triangles, and in order for us to find the area of a triangle, we need to find its base. And I'm going to put that there so we can see that it's 15 for both and 25 here. Let's do this just so we can kind of see it's 15 right for both, right? Wonderful. 90 degree, we're going to call that Y. So even better, let's go ahead and use A and B. All right. So for here, we're going to have to figure out, we have to know what those two parts of that big triangle are in order for me to find the entire base. So luckily, I know some of my Pythagorean triples. So I know that this appears to be a 3 times 5, and this appears to be a 5 times 5. 3 times 5 equals 15. 5 times 5 equals 15 or 25. So therefore, this would be a 3, 4 times 5, 4, 5 triangle. So this has to be 20. B has to be 20. So I'm going to go ahead and erase those just so that it doesn't confuse anybody. And again, I know that because I know my Pythagorean triple, 3, 4, 5, and because 15 is a multiple of 3, or I guess it's of 5. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 5 is 25, right? 15 and 25. Therefore, 3, 4, 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Otherwise, you have to use Pythagorean theorem, and that's what I'm going to do over here, just to show you guys how that would look like if you don't know your triples. All right, so we found our base here. Save us a little bit of time. Now for the pink one, right, we know that we're going to use a squared plus 15 squared equals my hypotenuse, which is 17 squared. So your shortcut here is just by subtracting 15 squared. I don't have to do 15 squared and write it all out. It saves me a little bit of time if I just say, okay, I have 17 squared and I'm going to subtract away 15 squared. And I have my calculator right next to me. Feel free to use your own so you can see that it works. And we're going to get 64. From here, I'm going to square root, and I'm going to get 8 is equal to plus or minus 8. But remember, can't have a negative length, so this is just going to be a is equal to 8. Great. So I found my two bases. So that means my total base here is going to be 28. Now that I have both of those bases, or I have that base, I know my height. Remember, your height is this altitude right here. What we're going to do is we're just going to take my area of a triangle is equal to base times height divided by 2. So area of my triangle is going to be 28 times 15 divided by 2, which ends up giving me 28 times 15 is 420 divided by 2. Area is equal to 210 inches squared. And that's my answer. So you have to use the Pythagorean theorem here unless you know your triples. Triples, will increase. Obviously, you don't need to know your triples, but they will save you a lot of time. So, for example, if we look at number 2, I can already tell because I've got this rectangle. Remember that rectangles have congruent opposite sides. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this because this side over here, the whole thing is 17. So 17 minus 9, or sorry, so this is 9. 17 minus 9 gives us 8. So that means that the whole, right, because this is all 17, I'm just going to erase it for now because I'm going to look at it as two separate shapes. And this triangle here, I can once again tell that this is 4 times 2. This is 5 times 2. So this is going to be 3 times 2. That's another 3, 4, 5 triangle. So this is going to be a length of 6. And again, for those who are struggling to see these triples, you would have to then write, let's say that this was A, right? Then we would say 6, or sorry, A squared plus 8 squared is equal to 10 squared. And then you have to subtract 8 squared. So you end up getting 100 minus 64 is 36. Square root A is 6. So you get the same answer, but it just takes longer. Great, sweet. So this is 6. Not that we needed to know that, but because for this trapezoid, right, this is a trapezoid. Remember that the area of a trapezoid formula is the average of my two bases divided by my average of my two bases times my height. So my area is going to be my base on top, 9, times the total of 8 plus 9, which we know is 17, right? That's what's behind here. And we're going to divide that by 2, and we're going to multiply that by my height, which is 6. All right, let's finish this up. I'm going to go ahead and finish this work right up here. Area is equal to 26 divided by 2 times 6. My area is 13 times 6. Area ends up being 78. We don't have any units, so I'm just going to say units squared. And that's my answer. Wonderful. Actually, I write that right there. And I'm going to write this one up in the other corner. I'm just going to drag it. Awesome. All right, let's do so now, right? You should be able to see that this is just two triangles. So you should be able to find this here. Let's call that B. And now you can find the area of this rectangle. So now let's look at this kite though. Actually, yeah. Um, let's actually do not a kite. Let's do this trapezoid. Now, trapezoids are kind of hard for some students because there's two different types. There's just a regular trapezoid and an isosceles trapezoid. Now, remember, an isosceles trapezoid tells us that these legs are congruent. So I know this has to be 5. Not that it matters for now, but I do know that that has to be 5. The cool thing about the isosceles trapezoids is that we can go ahead and take this area right here, and we can just kind of cut it off. And these two triangles, right, this one and this one, are going to be and this one are going to be congruent. So, and I know that because these are the same height, and this is the same. I mean, I don't want to say. Well, these are the same heights. These have the same. So let's again. We don't know what the height is. This is h. This is h. They have the same hypotenuse, and they're both right angles. And because we're cutting off 16 from here, right? This is now 16 in here. We have 8 between these two sides, right? Because if we do 24 minus 16, we end up getting 8. And because these two triangles are congruent, because it's an isosceles triangle, so those are exactly the same, they're symmetrical, right? What we can do here is divide this by 2, and it's going to give us 4 for this length, 4 for this length. So both of them end up being 4. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that now since that's unnecessary. Okay. And remember, this whole thing is 24. 16 plus 4 plus 24 is 4. And this only works for isosceles triangles. So now, again, once again, look at this. It's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So right off the bat, I didn't have to do Pythagorean theorem. I have my two bases. I have my height. So now I'm essentially done. Remember, my area here is going to be 16. My base plus my second base. Remember, that's 24 divided by 2 times my height. Area is equal to 40 divided by 2 times 3, which ends up giving me 60 units squared. I'm going to go ahead and write that in the answer for number 6, I believe that was. Yep. Boom. My answer. I think I'm going to do one more problem. This one, I know some students were having an issue. So I'm going to start it, but I'm not going to do it. Right, so we have this diagonal. Remember that rhombuses have a 90-degree triangle, and the diagonals bisect each other. So if this whole thing is 14, then this has to be 7, this has to be 7, and now I want you to go ahead and use this triangle here to find x. And remember, because diagonals bisect each other, you know this also has to be x. And these are congruent, right? Because it's a rhombus. All sides are congruent. So this is 25. And this is still x as well. So once you find x, you just double it, and now you have both of your diagonals. Remember, diagonal 1 is going to be 14. And then diagonal 2 is going to be x plus x. So I want you to try that and then find the area, okay? Area of a rhombus is going to be diagonal 1 times diagonal 2 divided by 2. Great. I wanted to go over this one, number 10. This is number 9 is a trapezoid, but I think you guys can figure it out as long as you know that this is your height. But number 10, perimeter of a rectangle. So first I'm going to draw my rectangle. I don't know anything about it, right? All I know is that opposite sides are congruent and angles are 90 degrees. That's really all I really know. I mean, I know a few more other things, but nothing else is important. So here they're talking about the base and they're talking about height. So I'm gonna tell myself, hey, I need an equation for base and I need an equation for height. What would they be? Well, remember, base is 3 times my height. Okay, well, if this is 3 times my height, I need an I need a variable for height, right? So let's just say that height is h. If height is h, then base has to be 3 times h. Okay, I've got pretty much enough information now to solve everything. My height is h, my bases are 3h, and we know that my perimeter is all of these added up, right? It's my exterior line, and that's going to equal to 72. So let's go ahead and finish this off now. I have 3h plus 3h plus h plus h, and that's going to equal 72. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1, that's 8. 8h is equal to 72. Divide by 8, h is equal to 9. Now, we cannot stop here. This is inches. Because it's not asking for h, it's asking for the area. So if h is 9, then 3h must be 3 times 9, which is 27. And the area of a rectangle is base times height, which means that my area is 9 times 20, or sorry, yeah, 27 times 9, which ends up giving me, I believe it's 243. Yes, 243. Wonderful. And that's it. So I hope this video helped you. Um, Again, remember that rhombus and kites have the exact same formula, so you will use this exact same formula for the one above. And I think I've got every formula that we're going to use on the quiz. Parallelograms, same exact thing, right? Base times height. This is height. This is my base. So area is base times height, and um, you have to figure out your height, and you have to use 30, 60, 90 triangles for that. So if you guys have any more questions, please do not hesitate to email me, and I'll go over another few problems. Have a great rest of your day.